Uh,
Okay, hello everyone, 17th of June, and we are together with Sebastian Heath, an extraordinary colleague that I know for many years. And I'm very glad that he actually accepted to give this lecture to you. And I am actually very excited about this talk. So I will let Sebastian to talk about himself. Sebastian.
Biller, thank you, Professor Tekak, Biller, and everybody here. Thank you so much for the invitation, for the introduction. Very grateful to everybody for joining on what is a Friday evening for you. And I understand that the conditions are not perfect. Yes, Biller and I have known each other for a long time, and we share an interest in Roman pottery, but that is not why we are here today. We also share an interest in developing digital tools and digital approaches to studying the ancient world, and to thinking about how those can enable new audiences, larger audiences to access information about the ancient world. And whether you're an expert or a member of the general public, to take advantage of the ability of digital tools to bring large amounts of information to us, but hopefully not to overwhelm us. And let me address one topic. Thank you for allowing me to speak in English. Please, if I am speaking too quickly, Biller, you'll tell me to slow down a little bit or interrupt. It is okay to, if somebody wants to sort of ask me to repeat things, I am happy to do that. And then the title of my talk today is Towards, a Virtual Context for Pompeii's Artistic Landscape. So it is about the well-known archaeological site of Pompeii. I will do some introduction to that, but I don't mean this talk as a general introduction to the site. I do want to focus on the idea of the word towards. I will say the tool that I am going to show today is available now. So this is not a made-up fantasy optimistic world. I hope to put you in position to use the tool that I am creating, but it is very important to say that we're moving towards something. It's not done. You will very much see me showing you screenshots, but then going live onto the internet, because I think that is what will convince you that will allow you to imagine that you can use this tool yourself. And then I'll bounce them back and forth between saying work that I'm doing, but also we, like a group of people. And here I really want to focus on that the work that I will show today is a collaborative effort between me, that's me, Sebastian Heath over here, and my colleague, Eric Paler at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. He's a scholar who has been working on Pompeii for an extremely long time, goes there every summer, particularly interested in traffic patterns there. But really, like many digital tools, this is a collaboration between the co-directors, myself and Eric, and also the people we work with, including undergraduate students and was the staff at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. And we are funded by the Getty Foundation and their Digital Art History Initiative, DAHI, in which, again, they're really interested in digital approaches that place art in context and which make the information about art generally available. And so those are themes that I hope to have you'll see that we are putting those into action today. But again, very much towards, in process. And so you'll see me, clicking live, which comes with the risks of things being slow and not working. But that also, I hope, in many ways captures the fact that we're thinking about what the tool can be. So you're seeing something in process, which is an opportunity to react and ask questions. And I promise to listen to those questions. And maybe you'll come back in 6 months and see, ooh, they did listen, and this aspect of the site is now working. We're out and we're beginning to show it to the world, and we welcome feedback. So again, I very much thank Biller for the opportunity to speak to you today. As I indicated,
Sebastian, can
yes,
I interrupt you for just 1 minute?
please.
Okay. Sebastian Heath aslında bu projeyi yakın bir tarihte çalışmaya başladı. Pompeii antik kenti biliyorsunuz 79 milattan sonra 79'da Vezüv yanardağının patlamasıyla 6 metreyi aşan lavların altında kalan insanların Rönesans dönemi, yani geç 16. yüzyılın sonuna kadar bu pozisyonda kalmalarını sağladı. Ve Rönesans döneminde Severo'nun, yani 1594-1600'de kent kazıldı, kazılmaya başlandı diyelim. Çünkü çok büyük bir kentten söz ediyoruz. Dolayısıyla bu kentin aslında daha sonra milattan sonra yine Rönesans döneminde 1631'de büyük bir deprem. Ondan sonra Carlo Pomponi'nin 1748'de yaptığı bir çalışma ki o aslında Museum Portici denilen yerde yapılan bir çalışma. Ondan sonra yalnız bu farklı insula dediğimiz ada parsellerde, yani kentin farklı mahallelerinde farklı kişiler çalıştılar. Sebastian da bize aslında kendi yaptıkları inanılmaz bir projeyi şu anda sunuyor. Ara ara ben yine sizlere açıklamaya çalışırım. Sebastian, I leave the screen to you again.
Thank you so much, and please translate as you think necessary. So I believe, as I mentioned, we're not going to go too deeply into a general introduction to Pompeii as a site. That is in part because it is one of the world's most famous archaeological sites, and it can take up as much time as you want to talk about any aspect of it. It is a very rich site. But again, it is well known because in late 79 CE, it was covered by the eruption of the nearby volcano Vesuvius, which does mean that it is a remarkably well-preserved site, where I imagine we're all well past thinking that it's a moment frozen in time that is a perfect representation of Roman life in 79 CE, but it is a very rich representation of that. And today we'll focus a little bit on how we're trying to, again, as I said, create a context for exploring the art historical richness of the site. And you'll come to see what that means. It is the case that an aspect of Pompeii is that its preservation allows there to be an organizational structure to space at Pompeii. What you're seeing here is the tourist map, and you will note these Roman numerals, bir, iki, üç, to remind me of my Turkish numbers. I could keep going. 1, 2, 3. These are the regions into which Pompeii has been divided. What is important to say is that that is a modern concept. It is not, this is a Roman numeral, but it was not that in 79 AD anybody would say, meet me at region 1 or the corner of regions 1 and 9. These are modern concepts, but I hope that you can see here the 7. That's a satellite image here. They are reasonable. Taking the major streets of Pompeii, they aren't just made up. It isn't an arbitrary square grid. It follows the ancient evidence. And as we see, within the site itself, there are these regions. Within each region, there are these insulae, what are called insulae, which again, those are really quite analogous to the idea of a modern city block, and we are even closer, and you'll come to see that on the satellite images as I move in. We're even closer to something that really is plausible as an ancient phenomenon, an ancient way the city could be thought about. And we owe the existence of these things, insula, to Roman city planning. We owe the naming of them to this gentleman, Giuseppe Fiorelli, who we still work to the extent that Pompeii entered a modern age of recording and excavation. We work within the modern age created by Giuseppe Fiorelli, who gave this naming system to the site, took it down into the level of insula, to the level of even individual house addresses. So the extent that we in the modern world the number of my house is 218 Dean Street. Come, everybody is welcome. Your house likely has a street address. That system was given to Pompeii, and that makes it it is well organized, and it is possible to know where you are at Pompeii, and that will turn out to be useful. You'll see how we are making use of that idea as I go forward. So again, not a complete introduction to Pompeii, but it is a great place to focus on the site as a whole and also on individual houses, and we'll go beyond that as well. I'm clicking onto the next slide, Billy, you will interrupt me or not, but again, Pompeii is it is well organized, and that we'll see how that is advantageous for treating it computationally. It is also the case that as I've indicated, and I imagine is somewhat familiar to people, the record of wall painting at Pompeii is extensive and allows us to speak about how the society represented itself. What did it put on its own walls, and how does that give us a window into Pompeii as a functioning first century CE Mediterranean society, city, what people were thinking about, what they were looking at. Again, it's not perfect. There are still opportunities to wonder how well can we understand what people are doing? But the information is there. And what my colleague Eric Paler and I are working on is it will be easier for you as an interested person, academic, classical archaeologist, or art historian, whomever you are, to see what is at Pompeii, to find it more easily. And of course, I give you a short selection here. This is a wall painting from the House of the Centenary. We don't need to worry about that so much. But this is Vesuvius with the Greek god of wine, Bacchus, a sort of version of Dionysus. So a self-representation of the site and I hope you can see it on your screens. Bacchus in a robe of grapes. So the idea of Pompeii in a landscape, Vesuvius being important, wine being important, the production of wine. And then we have a snake here, which again connects us to the land. These are themes that will come up again. So I hope it's a quick entree into the richness, but also I'll try and pick up on some of these themes. This image here may be a little hard to see. We'll address that later on. This is Laocoon at Troy, trying to protect his sons from the snake that comes out of the sea. So Biller and I worked together at Troy, but I'll return to this a little bit. So this is a mythic context. The wall painting at Pompeii places Pompeians within the Mediterranean mythic context of the Iliad and of Homer and of the Trojan War. No surprise. But then we also see scenes of daily life. These are loaves of bread stacked up and we think probably being distributed, not sold. But this is the kind of thing that we hope to enable you to engage in closely with. So we have, the landscape of southern Italy, the mythic context, the mythic landscape, and then the practical everyday experience of being at Pompeii. The wall painting captures it all, and we want to try to make it easier to explore that. And what you'll see today is some of what we are doing. So what is PALP doing? PALP being the Pompeii's Artistic Landscape Project. A nice short, I will say PALP. The sort of technical side, we are defining relationships between entities at Pompeii and making those entities and relationships searchable, computationally actionable. My title at NYU, I'm clinical associate professor of computational humanities and Roman archaeology. The computational part is, again, how do we make representations of what we do and make it possible for the computer to bring them to the attention of humans, people, you and me, and then we do things with them. And so we're trying to make the entities and relationships searchable, computationally actionable, with a current focus on wall painting and other figural art. Slightly less technical, what are we doing? We're creating a website to find artworks at Pompeii. Boom, and working between those two things. And in this talk, I hope to give you a sense of the technical work that we're doing, and then how that is reflected as a website that you can use. And then a note, we'll go live, as in click through, but I do put URLs on the page, and I think everybody's on a computer, so hopefully you can see those, maybe click through to them, maybe do it at the end, but that will put you in position perhaps to ask me questions. I'll warn you, it's not yet a perfect website. We're working on it. We're putting the data out, using it ourselves, and iterating over it to make things better, but we would rather show it to you in its imperfect state and then iterate over, work on it, improve it to make it better. Eric and I are not people who say, oh, it must be perfect. We want to get it out to the world. So it's slow, we'll see, but it does, but it works. Okay, so.
Can I quickly summarize what you have been doing? Okay.
Of course.
Bu proje, yani Pulp adında olan proje aslında biraz önce gördüğümüz duvar resimlerinde Pompei hayatını gözden geçiren, ama bütün bu imajların, yani sanatsal olarak Pompei hayatını bize veren duvar resimleri çok iyi korundukları için ve yani figüratif sanatlarda bu hayata ilişkin tüm verilerin derlendiği, toparlandığı bir web sayfası. Şimdi o web sayfasının nasıl çalıştığını bize anlatacak. Yes, you can.
Thank you, Bella. So one thing to note, and I'll try to go through this this section a little quickly. We are speaking again about Pompeii, one of the most famous archaeological sites, one of the most famous entities. Many people around the world have heard of Pompeii, meaning that there is a pre-existing digital work, digital context for the site itself. Pompeii is very well represented on the internet. And so we do not see ourselves as coming in and creating a whole new era in the digitization of Pompeii. We see ourselves building on materials that already exist and making them easier to use. And again, hopefully you'll see how we are doing that. But I do just want to give sort of between a review, very quick review of what already exists, but also credit to the people who are already doing work. There are a number of sites that collect information about Pompeii. One of the most compelling is this site, Pompeian Pictures, by this elderly English couple, Jackie and Bobby Dunn, Mr. and Mrs. Jackie and Bobby Dunn, who went and just took hundreds of pictures and put them on the internet. And that it is wonderful. And I just quickly want to show you the site. So this is the site, Pompeian Pictures. I got to move things around. I'm at the House of Menander here, and you can scroll down, and it's just picture after picture after picture. I'm not going to do too much. But if I click on part 3, I'm sure it's the case. I think we'll start to get inside and to start to see the richness of the visual documentation that exists on Pompeian Pictures. I am highlighting it for another reason, in that, if I go to here, yes, I get back to the full screen. I'm going to go back, and you'll see me going back and forth in that. Eric Paler and I reached out to Bobby and Jackie Dunn and asked them if we could use their images, and they said yes. So many of the images that you will see in PALP, the Pompeii Artistic Landscape project, come from Pompeian Pictures. So I both encourage you to go to that site because it's useful, and I want to give credit to them for allowing us to use their imagery, really to jumpstart what we were able to do. So again, Pompeii, like there's an amateur group working to represent Pompeii online, and that is wonderful. And we are in collaboration with those people. Okay, those are Pompeian pictures, many images.
Okay. Jackie ve Bobby adlı bir çift bu fotoğrafları çekmiş ve Sebastian aslında size onu öneriyor, o sayfayı, ve enteresan bulduğu şey aslında yani arkeolog olmayan halktan kişilerin de bu alana nasıl katkıda bulunacağını özetlemek istiyor size. Ve bu proje, PALP projesi, onlara da tabii atıfla aslında bu büyük bir ev, Merander evi, onun fotoğraflarını kullanıyorlar. Tabii ki başka fotoğrafları da kullanıyorlar. Onu söylemek istedi. Yes.
So thank you again. And so I use the opportunity here to go to a project called, and if I come to the top here, the Pompeii Bibliography and Mapping Project. This is something that Eric Paler, my collaborator, had worked on. And I just want to quickly show you that we started with a detailed digital map of Pompeii. You know, this is one way of thinking of the site, the buildings that are there. And so we had that already. Eric, the National Endowment of the Humanities in the United States, funded this work. And part of what we were doing is bringing what I showed you before, Pompeian pictures, together with this detailed, you know, really quite accurate map that goes down to the level of buildings. And so I will come back out here, go to there, what happens? I click here. Yes, we'll go back into sharing mode. And then this is a different view of the same project, but really showing that it is detailed into the level of mapping that it is done. So the project that Eric and I collaborate on had a lot of content already, and I am showing that to you, and you'll see how it comes together. And then, of course, there was a pre-existing print-based traditional books, scholarship about Pompeii. The bibliography is vast, but I want to highlight two of the, you know, I will call traditional, but innovative for the time, publications for Pompeii, which really focus on bringing out the print-based approach to organizing the wall painting and the mosaics that exist at Pompeii. The Pitture Pavimenti di Pompeii, which is PPP, and then the Pompeii Pitture Mosaici, PPM, and you'll see those abbreviations in the work that we are doing. And if I could just take you on the briefest of tour, the PPP is exceedingly useful because it provides a unique identifier for every room at Pompeii. At the beginning, I showed you that Fiorelli took us down to the house, gave addresses for each house. Modern scholarship has taken that identifying system and made an identifier for every room. So that idea also existed. And then just very quickly, we also have in the PPM descriptions, pre-existing descriptions of a vast number of the wall paintings that are at Pompeii, and a system that takes advantage of the identification of numbers. It extends it to give us detailed descriptions of the images that are in those rooms. So Biller, and you may want to summarize this.
Yes.
We have a digital context and a print context that gives us great detail about Pompeii. What Eric and I are trying to do is to increase the searchability to create a website that you can use.
Okay. Şimdi biraz önce 2 tane kitap gösterdi size. Aslında onlar Pompei'de bulunan mozaikler ve duvar resimleri ve mekanlarla ilgili. Ve bunlar Mao, yani ilk kazıcıların daha sonraki kazı raporlarından derlenmiş. Ve bu kitaplar eski kitaplar. Bunlar dijital hale getiriliyorlar ve bunlara da bir kimlik veriliyor kısaltmayla. Burada gördüğünüz ppm gibi ve bunlar aslında lokasyonu belirliyorlar. Yani bir evin lokasyonunu, o insula üzerinde nerede olduğu. Fakat önemli olan bu kitapların üzerinde bulunan fotoğraflar, açıklayıcı fotoğraflar ve lokasyon bilgileri. Bunların aslında dijital hale getirilip bu sefer yeni kimlikle ve bugüne endekslenmiş yüksek çözünürlüklü fotoğraflarla sizin ulaşılabileceğiniz hale getirilmesi. Evet. Yes.
Thank you. Teşekkürler. So I will not stay too long on this slide. It is an indication of how it is that we are creating entities and creating relationships between them. This is, while it's sitting on your screen, this is the machine actionable description of a set of spatial relationships at Pompeii. So you can see R1, that's region 1, I9, insula 9, P5, property 5. So that's a short identifier for a house at Pompeii. We say that it is a property, we give it a name, and we say that it is spatially within, inside. Pompeii, PLOT stands for Pompeii Linked Open Data, don't worry about that. It is inside, excuse me, region 1, insula 9. So the property is within a insula. Insula 9 is itself within R1, that is region 1. Region 1 is within Pompeii. And I put it in this form because you see there are semicolons and periods. This is a bridge between the ability of humans to read this, I hope it makes some sense, and the computer to import it as a database. And so we have tens of thousands of statements like this that say a house is within an insula, which is within a region, which is within Pompeii, and we can search across that. And I put this image down here. We see images like this a lot. This is a network. And so we are creating a network of relationships that can be queried. I'm gonna move ahead. What Eric and I are trying to do is to take that network of relationships down to the individual level of components of artwork. So you can see a bird here. Eric and I are working on a database that says this bird is on this wall painting, which is in this room, which is in a house, which is in an insula, which is in a region, and we create those relationships and we make them actionable within a website. And I promise you, we're getting right to the point where I will show you the website, and hopefully the ideas that I've been putting come together as actually quite simple because you can click around and see. Biller, did you want to?
Yes, I will quickly go over it. Şimdi bu çok ilginç bir sistem. Tabii bizim gördüğümüz ve bizim aslında search yani araştırma yapma halimizle bilgisayara bunu yükleyip bir veri tabanı içerisinde bu bilgiyi istemek farklı bir biçim. Biliyorsunuz veri tabanları daha farklı çalışıyorlar. Mesela burada bir örnek veriyor. Şu anda bu örnek House of Floral Cubicula, yani işte duvarında herhalde çiçekler olan bir bahçe tasarımı olan bir yatak odası, bir ev. Ve bu insula, yani ada 9'daki ve kişiye ait bir mekan. Yani bu sadece insulada bir odayı temsil etmiyor, bir evi temsil ediyor ve bir bölgeyi temsil ediyor. O yüzden bunu şuna benzetiyor aslında: bir insanın okuma tarzı, bilgisayarın okuma tarzı ve bunu bireysel olarak bir veriyi isteme modeline dönüştürmek. Dolayısıyla bu evde işte bu floral imajlar var, kuşlar var ve bu kuşların niteliklerini ortaya çıkaracak ve bugüne taşıyacak verileri, bilgileri de araştırmanıza imkan tanıyan bir sistemi çalıştırıyorlar. Ve tabii burada altta bakarsak 10.000 tane oda örnek, 87 bin tane datayı aslında tarıyor bu veri tabanı. Bu bulguların hepsini şimdi onu anlatacak bize veri tabanından. Yes, Sebastian.
And let me just pause. Bill, I'm so grateful to you for translating. Thank you so much, and I hope that leads to further conversation. So from identifiers and relationships, that slightly technical approach to a website. So what I'm going to show you just quite quickly are screen captures. So just again, this is the website sitting here as an image on the page that will give you a sense of where we are going. This is in case the internet dies, whatever. So I want to give you a preview, and then I will click and show you things actually working. But of course, I will make a mistake or something like that as I'm actually using the website. So we will start out by going to a page that it represents the idea of Pompeii, and it will just list a long list of entities that are represented Pompeii. Don't worry that you can't read this, but it will say bird, magpie, loacawan, bread, ham, all these things, a list of things. It will also give a list of the spatial structure and will show a map. And so here's what I mean. We're gonna do this. Here's the close to the opening, and then we click in to region 1, and it's showing you where region 1 is, and it's still giving you a list of things there. And then here's region 1, we click down to the insula, and we're looking at now a property here, I9, region 1, I9, P5, and then we're looking at a particular room, and that's the room that showed the magpie. So this is we'll be able to browse the website, and then we'll be able to click through on magpie and see other representations and where it is. So I just want to, that's an exceedingly quick preview. If things don't work, hopefully be able to browse itself. But let's go out to the live version. Let me just make, 195, great. And it's always a little nerve-wracking to go out to the live version. How will it work? It's taking a little while to load, of course. Yeah, so here we are at the opening page of the Pompeii Artistic Landscape project, and I hope you can read that. I'm even going to put it in the chat, the very simple link, palp.art, and people will go there now. And if everybody goes at the same time, it might slow things down. But I hope you can see the chat. This is just a opening page with some description of the work, and then I'm going to click through to Pompeii, and again, simple map, but a long list. And yes, we need to make this more user-friendly, but right now we're just putting it all out there. This is a list of the themes, the concepts that we have identified on the artwork at Pompeii so far, and we are about 20% of the way done. We have a lot of work to do, but as I said, this is towards. The work is underway. So I can come down here and click on region 1, and we'll go through, and it'll give you a map of where region 1 is, and then keep going down and go to region 1, insula 9, and really we need to make this where is 9? I1, 9. I clearly need to make it a lot easier to use. Don't worry. There it is. there is a link right there. My apologies. I'm having trouble using my own website. As I said, it's under where we are working on it. And then I'm going to click through to property 5. And this can take a little while to load. And it's hopefully it is actually loading. Yes. For some reason.
Nice to translate meanwhile. Şimdi bu çok önemli bir veri tabanı. Araştırma sisteminde bulunan her nesnenin aslında küçük tanımları var. Bu mimari tanımlar kuştan yaşam stilini gösteren ya da inanç modelini ya da müzik aklınıza gelebilecek, yani Pompei'de yaşamış insanların tüm hayatlarını buraya koymuşlar ve %20'si bunun şu anda tamamlanmış. Yani bunun içinde meyveden tutun işte hani yeme içme kültürü, nasıl yaşadıklarına ilişkin, neler taktıkları, neler giydikleri, o kadar derin bilgiler var ki çok değerli bir veri tabanı tabii bittiği zaman ve bu aslında bütün arkeolojik sitler içinde kullanılabilir. Yes.
Again, thank you. Okay, so I've got, so we are now looking at the property of Pompeian house, and it's giving you a map of where it is. It's telling you all the concepts that we have identified that are depicted in that house, that are shown in that house, and it's giving you, and here I am, a little gallery of the images that we have of that house. So how many is it? It's 75. If I zoom in right there, you'll see 75 images, and actually we have more, but I didn't want it to be too slow loading. I did that going down into the hierarchy just to give you a sense of where you are, but in many ways the more interesting approach to what PALP can do is to allow you to click on a link here, Magpie, and get see where they are. And again, it's a little slow, but it will come. And then right, so we are seeing that here, Magpie, and I did that because I showed you that link before. Only shown in that house. But we can then start to click through and say, Magpie, this artwork shows Magpie. It also shows Dionysus, and it's listed here. And we can click through on the link Dionysus and get a set of images that show Dionysus, or show artwork that includes Dionysus. And here, if I scroll in here, we should be able to see, that's a house that has, that's a room that has Dionysus. That's a room that has Dionysus in it. And I come over, I think Dionysus. So starting to, as we increase the amount of data entry that we do, you will have more confidence that we're showing you everywhere Dionysus shows up at Pompeii. And hopefully that seems like a useful thing to be able to do, to explore on your own. And then, of course, we can come back here and we can go back to a room that shows Dionysus, and we're seeing all the images all the images that we have of this room, and poke around and look at them, and then perhaps you become interested in satyr, and you click through there, and you're finding where satyrs are, frequently the accompaniment of Dionysus, and again, create your own exploration of relationships between concepts at Pompeii. And again, it's possibly too much right now, but we are working on how to make this information easy to browse. And we would rather give it to you and see how people use it, see how we use it, and then work to make it better and better, and to make it a nicer looking website. And again, I would like to emphasize, and here I need to move windows around, like to emphasize that all our links are short and easy to share. So I'm putting into the chat, I hope everybody can see that, a link that you can click to browse the concept of satyr, the companion, a frequent companion of Dionysus, and look at it yourself.
Böyle davrandı. Yorumlar muhtelif.
And I hope that is working for you. Let's see if I come back and browse. Okay, so that's the basics of what we are doing. You can browse the spatial hierarchy, but you can also browse the conceptual, the distribution of concepts at Pompeii. What I would like to do now is just show you a few links and what they can do. Back onto the website. Again, it's going to be a little slow, but some of the things that I think are successful and some of the functions that it has. I click on, whoops, why is that not letting me? There, okay, good. I actually click on the link for snake, palp.r/browse snake, and we wait a little while, and we get a gallery of images of snakes of better and worse quality, but you can see there's a snake there. We click through. Here's an image. You probably have to look a little closer. I'll show how that's easier to do, but just an overview of the concept of snake at Pompeii, which, yes, this could get us into the idea that snakes are often associated with household altars. This is a small little altar at Pompeii. You can see Mercury here, and they create a connection between the family and the household. The snake is an animal that helps conceptualize and give a experience to the connection of people to the land, and we're hopefully putting you in position to do that. And one of the ways we do that is there really are quite a lot of snakes at Pompeii shown in different ways, and go and explore yourself. And here we're back at looking at the image of Laocoon, which the snake is dangerous. So the snake both connects Pompeii to the land, and in a mythic context, it is a dangerous. Please explore those ideas yourself. I will close this window, come back to Laocoon, because one of the things I do want to show is, let's say we come to an image like this. These images, they are okay. They're pretty good, but we understand that they are not perfect, but they're what we have. We have not done new photography for Palp. We are using existing photography. But let's see, if I go through to, let's see, this one. So you will note that down here, there is a link to image credits and additional info. Here, if I click through to that, we're going to a sort of companion website, but that is the software that provides the image archive that Palp uses. My apologies if this is starting to get too complex. If this is of interest to you, I can answer the question, but really what I want to show is that you can go into full screen mode here, and these settings here, and they will let you play with the contrast of the image, the brightness. Here's the contrast of the image, and see we can, and it'll let you zoom in a little bit more. And one of the very cool things is this invert tooltip, and if I click that, and it works. You see, it's no magic image analysis. It's just taking everything that's red and making it blue, just inversion, and it really does start to bring out that's Laocoon, and that's the snake here, and these are people who are looking on, and this is a table that gets returned. So we know that the images aren't perfect, but we're trying to give you tools that let you work with them. And really, this is nothing fancy. This is just very basic, Photoshop and introductory Photoshop kinds of things to do to explore an image and see if you can bring out more detail. And it is, of course, the case that what we would really like to do is make it possible to do that kind of manipulation on the website itself. So you don't have to click out here and go and do things. Biller, I'm not sure if you want to pause,
Yes,
but really
I will.
capturing that we are in process of creating capabilities on the website.
Okay. Web sayfası aslında çok farklı şekillerde çalışıyor. Siz o yaşamla ilgili bazı verileri elde etmek istediğiniz zaman eski fotoğraflar, hem kitaplardan hem kişilerin çektiği fotoğrafları dijital halde daha iyi çözünürlükte alabiliyorsunuz. Kontrast ayarlarını yapabiliyorsunuz. Ve genelde aslında bu mesela işte Magpie dediği saksağın, mesela kentte hangi evlerde saksağın betimleri var, ya da Lacan, onların kendilerini Troya efsane ve mitosuyla bağlantılı olarak bir kent, biliyorsunuz Lacan ve oğulları Rodos atölyesinin 2. yüzyılda yapmış olduğu Athenadoros, Polydoros ve Gesandros adlı sanatçıların yaptığı bir eserdi, bir plastik eser. Ve burada aslında Pompei'lilerin kendilerini bu mitosla, yani Troya mitosuyla özdeş kılmaları, sonuçta Lacan, Apollon, kutsal mekanının rahibi ve Troyalılara bu atı içeri alırlarsa Troya kentinin sonlanacağını söyleyen birisi ve onun üzerine Troyalılar bunu dinlemeyip ve Troyalıların yanında olmayan tanrılar savaşta ona ve onun genius oğullarına denizden yılanlar yollayıp onun ve devamının bitmesine neden olurlar. Şimdi bunu Pompei'de görmemiz kesinlikle bu mitosun milattan sonra 1. yüzyılda da devam ettiğini gösteriyor ve enteresan olan ev kültü çok önemli tabii. Pompei'de ev kültü çok değerli ve önemli, çok önem veriyorlar. Ev zaten bir üretim merkezi. Geçen sene benim çıkan kitapta da bu domuzla ilgili yazmış olduğum bölümde bu net bir şekilde var. Lar kültürü var, lares. Ve yılanlar, bu yılan mesela search yapıyorsunuz, yılan çıkıyor. Yılanın hangi evlerde olduğu, demek ki bu kült bütün evlerde var. Yani lares kültü. Evi koruyan, evin tüm aslında bereketini koruyan, devamını sağlayan, tüm aile bireylerini koruyan ve bir kült mekanı oluşturmuş. Oradaki üretimle gelen bir zenginlik olduğu için evde yılan toprakla evi bağlayan bir unsur. Evin zenginliğini bir taraftan bize gösteriyor. Ve tabii ki farklı şekillerde size araştırma imkanları sunuyor bu web sayfası. Evet, Sebastian, devam.
Thank you. And I think you saw me showing this. This is an exceedingly famous image from Pompeii, one of the most famous pictures from Pompeii. These are loaves of bread, ekmek, and it is being distributed, sold or distributed to people in Pompeii. Bread, of course, is extremely important in the Mediterranean diet: olive oil, wheat bread, and wine. So one of the things we would like to do is to add more context to important images like this. So it is the case that already we can show this detail, which, if I bring it up, is a plate of food. This is a dish with a loaf behind it, and it is possible to then click and see the rest of the images that show that depiction. And if I click here and go into full screen mode, that's that circle there, hard to see, but you can see it's next to a doorway as people move from the public part of the house towards the kitchen part of the house. And so it's a sign. The bread is being used as a sign as one moves around the house. And so, yes, we want to show the important images, the famous images of Pompeii, but we want to show that their content is connected to how people moved around their own houses, and to really embed the importance of something like bread more deeply into the way people moved around houses at Pompeii. And then I'll just sort of quickly, this is a little bit for fun. Ham, a biller, pig, ham. What is it in Turkish?
Domuz eti.
It's a little hard to see, but if I go into full screen mode, here we have a snake, but that's a ham bone, a pig. That's the shoulder or whatever, a leg of a ham right there. Is that? And then of course,
I understood this. Sorry, I understood as ham. So it is, of course, burada aslında yenilebilir bir kuşu görüyoruz burada.
There.
Evet.
Right. So again, bread is food. Pigs, ham is food. My apologies for our confusion, Billa. Thank you. My fault, of course. Again, the idea that yes, one can explore the representations of food around and how that overlaps with snakes or bread, creating in one's mind, a network of ideas that help us explore how the people of Pompeii were representing and thinking about their own site. And we are getting to the end, but okay, so and let me reset myself just a little bit. Come back here. The image that you see here, whoops, can I make it? There. That's an exhibition that we had in my department at ISAW of painting from Pompeii. So that's a Pompeian wall painting that was on display in New York up until about 2 weeks ago. So my understanding is there are people here who are interested in the museum world. This is what this painting looks like on display. If I click through here, when it comes up, we will get this is a room at Pompeii. So you see it there. And this is the room in which that painting is at Pompeii. And it is an image of a woman breastfeeding her father, who has been put in jail. This is a well-known Roman legend, a little obscure, but it is a compelling and powerful image of a daughter helping her father. What's very interesting is that up here, if I did click through and do the image adjustments, you would see that there is somebody looking at them. So I'll put this link in the chat. You can go do this yourself. And so this is an image of the daughter Perrone feeding her father, Mycone, who has been sentenced to jail. But it is interesting that also in this room is, and actually I can show it by here, is the image of Ariadne, the Cretan princess Ariadne, being abandoned by Theseus. Can you see this is Ariadne here, and this is Theseus sailing back to Athens after having defeated the Minotaur with Ariadne's help. A well-known myth, but I don't mean to be holding you to that. And so this is a room, this room here, which you see on the map. This is a room in which depictions of female sacrifice service are being gathered together. I don't want to offer a too obvious or a too nuanced reading of this. What I'm hoping to show is that there are a whole range of concepts that can be explored at Pompeii, and Eric Paler and all our colleagues are early in the work of taking the very rich resource that is Pompeii and the rich collection of ideas and making it easier for you and others to explore. And again, we are at the beginning of it. So we welcome your questions. We welcome people using it. We welcome feedback. We know we need to make the site easier to use, but we hope that it is already a place that you can come to and explore ideas. So with that, I thank you very much for listening. Tesha Kurla, and thank you to Biller. Thank you to you all for being here. And please try it yourself, and I welcome questions.
Thank you, Sebastian. This is an incredible project. This, I mean, this could be applied to modern life, modern cities, ideally to any city in the world today, not only an ancient site. So I will let people ask questions, then I have some questions too. İsterseniz sorulara geçelim ve yani bu en son anlattığı bölüm çok ilginçti tabii. Babasını hapiste besleyen, yani bu tabii ki mitoslarla çeşitlenen konular ve diğer, yani Ferona'nın öyküsü, diğeri de Giritli Prenses Ariadne ve biz normalde dijitali olmasaydı arkada Theseus'u görmeyecektik. Şimdi aslında bu evin plat edilmesi, yani o bölgede bu evin belirlenmesi henüz çok bölümü tamamlanmamış bu projede. Aslında farklı bakış açılarını da bize verebilir. Yani bu evin içinde neler olduğunu, neler döndüğünü, inanç sistemini verebilir. Onun dışında sosyal statüsünü verebilir. Biraz önce gördüğümüz gibi işte neleri yiyorlar, ekmek, bahçedeki tavuklar ya da yenilebilir kuşlar, keklik gibi bunu da yiyorlar. Şimdi sorulara geçelim. Siz soru sormak isterseniz ben çeviririm. Sorun değil. Yani siz sorun, ben çevireyim. O şekilde ilerleyebiliriz. I have a question, Sebastian.
Please.
When you mentioned about the digital exhibition in New York, when you exhibited those images individually in a frame, they were digital frames, right?
No, that was a physical. That was a real world exhibition. That was the painting. Yeah.
Okay. And did you have QR codes that linking that image to your website?
So no, we did not. In part because the exhibition came together before the site existed, even in this early state. But Biller, I take you to be asking, what are the opportunities to mix real world exhibitions with the digital? And I think there are huge opportunities to do that. So yes, a QR code that allowed somebody, if they wanted to pick up their phone and get more information. And Biller, I, of course, you may have a different question, but yes, to what extent can this website that we are creating allow museums to bring more context into their exhibitions without overwhelming and making it a distraction, but allowing people to choose to learn more if they want to. Absolutely, that's one of the reasons that we try to make our links very simple so that everybody can figure out how to quickly make a QR code to link to our resources if they want to. But Biller, you may have wanted to take it in a different direction. I hope that answered some of your question, some of your comments.
I mean, my next question would be that, so you covered it at all very well. Yes, it's 1,000 possibilities actually. if you have the digital image and a clear digital image, you can play with it. But I have a question, another question. When you have this old data, I mean, this is so powerful. Actually, this is the cultural code of Pompeii, the social structure, how people lived. I mean, similar houses, but the range of the houses and the use of the space in a house. And this would let easily to decide the, I mean, social level of the house as well. If you plot all these images, you also would get another conclusion that there were different brush marks, because you can play with the digital image, so you can easily pinpoint artists, I mean, chosen by specific houses, right? So the cultural level of the house, social level of the house, all data, I mean, mainly the cultural code of the whole city, right? And also the producers. You have mentioned about food, and you can easily pinpoint amphora, right? And the producers of wine, producers of olive oil, which houses produce. So can you tell about that?
Yeah. So we got money from the Getty to focus on wall painting, and so that's you're seeing us do that work now. I start with that approach because we envision a future in which we can add more information into our architecture. So the Dionysus or bread, does it show up in a house that is large or small? So that's easy to do, just the size of the house. But then how do we allow people to search for, expensive house or not expensive house? How do we add in information such that both in dialogue with ourselves, we are exploring more complex ideas at Pompeii? So, bread, we should be able to say that it's food, and so that you can find food all the way across. And Biller, you're right. It would be fantastic if we're able to say this artist made this painting. We won't know the name of the artist, but if we know that two paintings were made by the same person, painted by the same person, we would like to get that into our resource so that it is searchable. We would like to be able to say, there were many amphorae, physical real world amphorae found in this room, and there are images of amphorae in the wall painting. What is the connection between the material in the room and the wall painting? I think part of what I'm trying to say is, we are at the beginning, and we believe we've created an architecture in which it will be easy to add more aspects of the site, always adding on rather than being like, ooh, we didn't think of that. We want to think of things and then add them on, and we're at the beginning. So yes, the concept of individual artists, the concept of the material that in the room, the concept of the social status of the house, these are all the kinds of things that we would like to be able to incorporate over time towards. We'll never be at the perfect digital tool for Pompeii. We will always be moving towards it.
Thank you. I mean, this is very exciting. This is like a dream project for me, because you can explore also how they built the house structures and preparing the wall for a painting. the differences in houses. I mean, there are 1,000 possibilities in this project. And also, maybe not all houses are pagan, right? Yes. They have different belief systems, so that could be pulled out as well. Evet, soru var mı? Benim sorduğum soruyu bir söylemek istiyorum size. Mesela şu anda çok popüler olan bir kavram kültürel kodlar. Mesela bizim kullandığımız sistemler bugün, ben şu an karşıma bakıyorum, bloklar görüyorum. Bu bizim kültürel kodumuz mu? Yani bu tarz bir hayata mı soyunmalıyız? Aslında hiç uygun değil bu coğrafya için. Ama şu an yaşadığımız sistem bu ve bunların içindeki insanların hepsinin aslında evlerinde barındırdıkları küçük nesneler çağlar boyu her evde insanların hayat standartlarını gösteriyor. Aslında duvar resmi dediğimiz şey şu anda duvarlarımıza astığımız tablolar. Zaten Roma duvar resmi 3. stilde o bir şekilde benim kitabımda da geçen sene basılan var. Yani duvar boyuyorsunuz, ortaya bir tane tablo koyuyorsunuz. O tablo bugün bizim duvara astığımız tablonun aynısı, hiçbir fark yok. Tercih, konu tercihleri mesela yaşamın içinden konu tercihleri. Bugün de öyle değil mi? Çağdaş sanat bugün aslında bizim yaşadığımız şart dünyanın bize hoş gelmeyen ya da ortaya çıkarmak istediğimiz bazı verilerinin sanata yansımış hali. Biz artık onları görmek istiyoruz çiçek böcek yerine. Kavramsallaştırdığımız ve belki soyut hale getirdiğimiz formları görmek istiyoruz. Onları asıyoruz. Hiçbir farkı yok aslında. Ama mutlaka bizim yaşam verilerimizi gösteren, yani biz bugün neyi yaşıyorsak evimizin içinde biriktiriyoruz ve Pompei'de de durum aynı. Pompei'de tabii biz sanatçılar imza atmadıkları için bilmiyoruz. Ama ben şöyle bir öneri getirdim. Dedim ki yani bu yeni teknolojilerle şu anda röntgenleme var, arkeometrik analizler var, işte pigment analizleri var. Dolayısıyla hani fırça izlerinden o evlerde bulunan duvar resimlerini analiz yapsak en azından farklı insülalardaki duvar resimlerinin aynı tip olduğunu dijital ortamda çok daha güzel göreceğimiz için saptayabiliriz. Bir sanatçı yaratabiliriz. Mesela insüla 9'da işte ev 1'de olan, insüla 7 ev 2'de olan ve böylelikle bir sosyal statü ortaya çıkabilir. Bu çok enteresan bir durum. Yani dijital arkeoloji gerçekten çok farklı şeyleri ortaya çıkarabilir. Yani bizim aslında idealize ettiğimiz bir dünya. Sebastian, do you think Pompeii is an open museum?
I think
it's almost like that. The site.
I mean, as if by open museum we mean you know a museum that encourages people to go beyond whatever that allows people to see things, you know, radically in their context and to see practice happening. Absolutely, it's not perfect. There are parts of the site that are closed off. There are parts of the site that are, you know, it's a real world site, and it is a place that has to handle millions of, you know, 1 million visitors per year or whatever it is. So but yes, absolutely. And so Billard, you know, we talked about a wall painting in an exhibition. You know, there is no reason for, I hope that somebody is walking at Pompeii and accessing our site, and that they go and they look at a room and that they see on the you know, the addresses are labeled, the addresses of Pompeii are labeled, and that it is easy for them to then say, oh, I'd like to go to the PALP website and see what is there. And that's, you know, with more or less coordination with the people who run the site, but this information is out on the public. So it's an open museum in that it encourages exploration, and it can be an open museum in that the virtual world is brought into integration with the real world, except at the same time, almost nobody can go to Pompeii. You know, anybody can fly there, but the percentage of the world's population that goes there doesn't. So a full mix of enabling people who are physically there to experience the digital, and the people who are in the digital world to come as close as they can to experiencing it as a physical site. So they're open across all ways: an open website, an open museum, an open archaeological site. This is optimistic talk, but we are trying to get there.
Thank you. This is ideal actually for 21st century. And are you planning to create also a metaverse Pompeii linked to your website, so we can actually feel like we are in the house of Menander?
So are we going to do that? Perhaps. So do you mean a sort of virtual AR experience, a virtual reality experience? So absolutely. And what I would very much like to see is, the development of how it is that with wearing goggles, virtual reality goggles, one walks into the site and sees links. Like, how do you get an indication that you're in the site, but do you reach out with your hand and click a button and it pops up a web browser in the world? Like, how is that going to look? Or do you grab the magpie off the wall and then say, show me? So we're just at the beginning of what user experiences are going to be like. But I hope that it's physical, that we embody ourselves both as what it was like to be in the house in the Roman period, but also we take advantage of again, that interacting with things physically, but that aren't simulating the ancient world, but are new forms of engaging our brain with knowledge. So what is it like to sort of touch the magpie and then have it show you where other ones are? There's nothing Roman about that. There's no ancient experience, but what is it going to be like to browse information in a modern experience that allows us to think about the ancient world? Modern experiences that allow us to think about the ancient world. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be a lot better than the very preliminary website that I showed you, but it's going to be cool.
Thank you. Soru var mı? Bu çok enteresan bir şey sordum ben. Yani yapay zeka ile bize başka bir deneyim yaşatmayı düşünüyor musunuz? Yani çok önemli olan evlerden bir tanesi, zengin bir aile Menander evi. Bizi orada gezdirecek misiniz? Fiilen orada olacak mıyız? Bu web sayfası bizi bir müzede hissettiriyor mu? Tabii geliştikçe daha çok hissettirecek. Bunu söyledi. Soru var mı?
Hocam benim var.
Evet, tamam Ceren'cim, sorabilirsin. Sebastian, could you please Sebastian?
Yes.
There's a question, but could you please close your desktop so we see you?
Oh, of course, there.
Okay. Yes. So Ceren, sorabilirsin.
Teşekkür ederim hocam. Thank you very much for the presentation and about your detailed explanations about your project. It's very interesting. I had some questions in my mind, two questions actually I have. One is, as you sent the link, I had a look, and I'm curious if you will include people, real people who used to live, and that you have information about families, individuals, if you think of including people as a topic. And the second question is about the interactive part of the site. Do you think of including an interaction that people can contribute, that institutes can contribute, as an open source, not just taking information, but also putting more information, a freedom in that part in the future. These are my questions.
Yeah. Yes. And so two separate questions. Thank you for what is in terms of, yes, at Pompeii, we of course are able to have named individuals, House of Eunice Jucundus, the person who ran auction houses, the basilicas, the Praedia of Julia Felix. These are named real world people, and absolutely, I think the step towards that would be there's a written context for Pompeii. The inscriptions and the graffiti that exist, I can imagine that we will note the existence of writing in houses and then link to projects that are working on digitizing that written record. And so we'll certainly link to that. And then there are also projects that are engaged in, the technical term for people in the ancient world is prosopography. So the prosopography of the ancient world. I say that for everybody in the room. But working on individuals who are there. So I want to say absolutely, yes, there's a future in which you can see a list of people and find the houses that are related to them, see where they are, see what artwork was associated with them. What I want to make sure is that we would want to take advantage of work that is already happening, existing work. And so then the issue becomes, how do two projects collaborate together? The projects that are working on people at Pompeii and we who are working at artwork on Pompeii, how do we work together so that you as a user don't feel you're having to move between projects? So we need to, know about the work that other people are doing to identify individuals at Pompeii and integrate it into our project so that you as a user feel that you're able to browse by the men and women who lived in this site. So absolutely. And I think that may seem like a vague answer, but it's really, how we know how to do it. A third party, just as that the names of the regions and the insula of Pompeii already existed, the names of people at Pompeii already exist. We just need to incorporate that into our database and into our website so that you can use it. That, I think, is a segue towards your second question. We are not currently engaged in creating an interface whereby anybody can create an account and contribute information. It's not because we don't want to do that. Really, it's because right now we can make real progress hiring our own our own students to do that data entry and to get it out on the site. But no, we're not a crowdsourced project right now. We have just like, that is not because we don't think crowdsourcing is a good idea. It's just on a practical basis, running a crowdsourced site, making that work and administering that is a project in and of itself. And right now we're collecting the sort of beginning infrastructure that might then lead to a crowdsourced project. But right now we're doing the data entry ourselves. But I would like to sort of approach the idea of openness by saying that we do share all our data. I think I could show you it. There's a site called GitHub to which people can contribute, we as a project contribute information and everybody can download it. And we're a little bit behind. I should have maybe done that for this talk. We're a little bit behind, but yes, we want to make our data available so that people can download it and get at it, and under Creative Commons license. So if your question, and if you have familiarity with the concept of open data, we're all about that. Please take our data and use it. And I need to develop that part of the site and make that easier. But we have, I mean, I'll just put in the chat, will this work? HTTP github.com/plod. I think that's it. What happens if I click there? No, can't find it. I didn't get it quite right. Oh, GitHub. Whatever. I'll type something wrong. GitHub.com/p-lod, and you'll start to see that we have a GitHub site. The data isn't up to date, but we intend. The Getty, of course, asked us, "Are you going to share our data?" And we said, "Yes, we are going to share our data." So we have made commitments to our funders to share all the data, and we will. So that's a form of openness. That's a form of being able to take and interact and do with our data as we will. But to your question, we are not crowdsourced now, but there may be a future where we are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question.
Evet, güzel bir soruydu Ceren'cim. Başka soru var mı Sebastian'a? Başka soru sormak isteyen var mı? Any other questions? That's it, I guess. Thank you, Sebastian. This was incredible, actually. A new dream world for archaeology.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and thank you for saying that. And Eric and I are very excited about what we're doing, and I hope that came across. And thank you very much for listening.
Okay. Have a great weekend. Hepiniz çok iyi hafta sonu diliyorum. Çok güzel bir konuşma oldu aslında. Arkeoloji dünyasının neler yapabileceğini, sanatla nasıl birleştiğini, en önemlisi de toplumu ve o toplumun geçmiş zamanda olduğunu düşünmenin yanlışlığını, aslında bugün de aynı şeyleri yaşadığımız için daha farklı bir açıdan bakmamız gerektiğini özetleyen harika bir konferans dinledik. Hoşça kalın, iyi hafta sonları herkese. Bye everybody.
Thank you. Teşekkürler hocam.
Thank you.